Hello everyone, we are Group 6 and we will be doing a presentation on Urinaceus europaeus, or the Western European hedgehog. The Western European hedgehog is in the kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, class Mammalia, order Urinaceomorpha, family Urinacidae, genus Urinaceus, species Urinaceus europaeus.
The family Aranacidae includes various different species of hedgehogs, moonrat, and gymnures, which are small, shrew-like mammals. The smallest member of this family is about the size of a mouse, with the largest being the size of a small rabbit, so these mammals generally are pretty small. The family is fairly diverse, with 17 different species that make up the 7 different genera, which is primarily based off their locations and where they are found, such as Africa, Eurasia, Southeastern Asia, and Borneo. They are best identified by their dental formula, which is a 2:3/3 for the incisors, a 1/1 for the canines, a 3:4/2:4 for the premolars, and a 3/3 for the molars, which typically equals about 36:44. They are also identified by their complete zygomatic arch, which is in their skull, and also by their moderately sized ears and eyes and plantigrade foot posture. However, within the complete zygomatic arch, the jugal, which is a bony arc of the cheek, is present. Aranacidae date back to the Eocene and are descendants to Adaposaurisidae. Aranacidae used to be subsumed together with a paraphyletic order called Sauricomorpha, which are the true shrews, into an order called Eulipotyphla. This is because they shared a recent common ancestor, but were later divided into different orders based off their morphology. An early ancestor of the family Aranacidae actually comes from the subfamily Galaricinae, which is the moonrat and gymnures, and this ancestor was called Dinogalarix, or the saber-toothed moonrat. This is because it had large incisors, giving it that classic saber-toothed look, but was still an insectivore. But who knows? It may have consumed smaller vertebrates. No one was really around to find out. This fossil was believed to have roamed the Gargano Peninsula of Italy during the late Miocene, about 7 to 10 million years ago.
The Western European hedgehog can be commonly found across most of Europe and across Central Asia. It is native to the archipelago of the Azores and can be found as far east as Kazakhstan. It is very commonly seen across most of northern Europe and has even been found as far north as Scandinavia. You won't typically find these guys south of the Mediterranean Sea, but they have found a few in Lebanon. They are also found in New Zealand, but they are an introduced species there. They were introduced back in the late 1800s. The Western European hedgehog is indeed a land mammal, so it is terrestrial in nature. The areas they prefer to reside in are usually temperate fields, and in these fields you'll find them along the edges of the field in hedgerows. The habitat they prefer is drier and not too thickly wooded. Every now and then you'll find them in scrub and sand dunes. They're also commonly found in suburban areas, where you can find them in home gardens, cemeteries, parks, ag ecosystems, farms, things of that nature. And these also provide places they can hibernate in. The areas they occupy are typically from sea level up to 2,400 meters above sea level. And they can even be found in riparian zones every now and then. The Western European hedgehog is a small animal. It's pretty round and has short legs that keep it about an inch above the ground. It is plantigrade, so it has 5 well-developed pads and claws in each foot Now, the inside and outside toes, the first and fifth toes, are smaller and weaker than the middle toes, which are the second, third, and fourth. It has a white and brown coat and consists of spikes that are typically 3/4 of an inch to an inch long, and they are arranged in radiating patterns. These spines are white tipped with black and brown bands at the base. The areas of the hedgehog that aren't covered in spines usually have pretty coarse hair. And it has, whether it's hair or spines, it is all over its body. It's going to be on its cheeks, throat, stomach, and limbs. It doesn't have any bare areas on its body. There have been some white hedgehogs found, but not very common. They have an elongated conical head and snout. Its brain case is relatively small compared to its body size and has a short neck and tail, but its eyes and ears are very well developed. There's some sexual dimorphism when it comes to Western European hedgehogs. The males are usually slightly larger than the females. Now, the spines of the Western European hedgehog are made of keratin, and they attach very much like hair does. When startled or frightened or being protective, they can roll into balls and erect their spines outwards to protect them. On average, the adult hedgehog has roughly 5,000 spines. It has lacteal and permanent teeth. Its upper incisors are permanent and are widely spaced so that their lower incisors fit between them. The dental formula of the Western European hedgehog is 3-2, 1-1, 2-3, 3-3. The Western European hedgehog is also an endotherm with bilateral body symmetry.
Western European hedgehogs are omnivorous, however they mainly feed on insects. They favor beetles, ants, bees, wasps, earwigs, butterflies, and moss. But you may also find them eating cockroaches, crickets, grasshoppers, snails, eggs, lizards, snakes, frogs, and small rodents. They also consume plants including fruits, seeds, nuts, and grains. We will now discuss their life cycle. Young Western European hedgehogs are precocial, meaning that they are relatively well developed when they are born. Newborns weigh 0.3 to 0.9 ounces and are about 3 inches long. The newborn spines are concealed beneath fluid-filled skin, and after 24 hours, the fluid is absorbed and the spines are exposed. After 2 to 3 days, they have enough muscle to hold up the white adolescent spines, which are replaced after another day or two with darker spines. After 2 to 3 weeks, pigmented adult spines replace these, and the young can open their eyes and learn to curl in a ball. The female provides parental care, including nursing. Weaning occurs 4 to 6 weeks after the birth. At this time, the young hedgehog will venture out of the nest with the mother. The young hedgehog then begins to forage on its own and create its own overwintering nest. They are reproductively mature 253 days after they are born, usually by the next spring after their birth. Western European hedgehogs can live up to 6 years in the wild and up to 10 years in captivity. Western European hedgehogs are solitary and non-territorial animals. They begin mating in late spring when they emerge from hibernation. Males emerge from hibernation weeks before females do to expand their home range and increase their chances of finding a mate. Males and females both have multiple mates each season, and the season lasts from April to September. We will discuss their reproductive behavior later on. Gestation lasts about 35 days, and 1 to 9 offspring are produced per litter. A female can have 2 litters per year, but the second litter has a lower chance of surviving because it's born later on in the year, closer to the winter.
The Western European hedgehog has many behaviors. As far as their territory behavior, they are nocturnal, solitary, and non-territorial. They only meet with each other during the breeding season. They roam freely during the night. Nests are only once occupied. That means that they are never shared at the same time and only one individual. Urine sites are shared, though, by other individuals. They are non-aggressive and fossorial. Their foraging behavior is successful in a way that makes them good at swimming and climbing. There is a female hierarchy system over prime feeding grounds. They have relatively large foraging areas because of inconsistency in food abundance, but males tend to have larger foraging areas than females. And when food is abundant, they will reduce their foraging area. During communication, they grunt, snort, and make hoarse sounds when mating, feeding, or when captured. The young may squeak or whistle in the nest, but the species mainly relies on their sense of smell and hearing. They possess a Jacobson's organ, which is a chemical receptor that is used a part of their olfactory system and in social behaviors such as mating. This can also help distinguish between males and females. There is not a lot of research on the Western European hedgehog about their abilities to hear high frequencies, but is likely possible. In colder areas, hibernation begins October through April. In warmer areas, hibernation only occurs during the coldest of winters. The Western European hedgehogs store fat for insulation and as an energy reserve when it is necessary to wake up. Breaks in hibernating is used for foraging and urinating. And captive hedgehogs do not undergo hibernation since resources are not limiting, but instead are abundant. During their defensive behavior, they curl up in a ball to protect areas such as their body and face. They particularly avoid areas that smell like predators, regardless of high densities of hedgehogs in the area. There are precise behaviors when mating occurs. First, the males will circle the female for several hours, attempting to mount. If a female is not receptive, she will lower her nose and become audibly defensive. A male will leave to find a receptive female, and when he does, the receptive female will lower the body closer to the ground for better access for the male. He will then attempt to mount by climbing onto her back and use his teeth to hold on.
Hedgehogs have an impact on us and our environment. Hedgehogs are omnivorous, feeding on a wide variety of insects, and therefore help control insect pest populations in some areas. They are often appreciated by farmers and gardeners because of this bug-based diet. Hedgehogs are also host to a variety of parasites, including nematodes, trematodes, ticks, and fleas, and also serve as potential vectors for other parasites and pathogens, including mites, ringworm, influenza, yellow fever, salmonella, and foot and mouth disease. While hedgehogs are routinely kept as pets, the European hedgehog is illegal as a pet in some European countries and should not be removed from the wild. They have been proven as a useful study tool for numerous diseases, including foot and mouth disease, yellow fever, and influenza. Their hair and spines are also useful in assessing for environmental pollutants, including arsenic, silver, cadmium, lead, cobalt, and persistent organic pollutants. Traditionally, the blood, entrails, and ashes of the Western European hedgehog were used for medical remedies and in rituals to cure baldness and predict the weather.
The Western European hedgehog is a species of least concern. Current populations are stable and are not fragmented. Although there are no major threats to the species, there is possible mortality due to vehicle collisions, and it's not known to cause population declines. Some populations already occur on protected areas, such as managed land or habitats.
Most research done regarding the Western European hedgehog mainly includes the normal behavior of this animal. However, some research has gone deeper into learning the gene flow to try and better help the species. While Erinaceus europaeus is of least concern and is technically not fragmented, since these creatures have such stubby legs and are typically pretty lazy, they don't get around much and can become isolated, making it seem like they are fragmented. As said earlier, though, these hedgehogs are polygynandrous and capable of having heteropaternal superfecundation, which is a form of atypical twinning from the fertilization of two separate ova from two separate fathers. This results in offspring being considered half-siblings, and in isolated populations during mating season, hedgehogs typically don't care if they are kin or not. This results in a reduction of genetic diversity and can result in less viable and less fertile offspring from the generations of inbreeding, which brings concern because reproductive alleles may then change, causing an unbreedable population that could lead to long-term consequences such as extinction for the species. However, since these little guys are fairly abundant, and end up in people's backyards fairly often, researchers have been able to help relocate a few that have become pests to better help the genetic diversity of this species.